Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. In this episode, we are joined by Raj Khedun, who is the co-founder of Keep Fit Kingdom, whose mission it is to help 1 billion people reach 100 years healthy and happy and realize the healthiest version of themselves. Raj is also an avid wellbeing and breathwork enthusiast and expert, having practiced the practice of breathwork for over 12 years. Be prepared to learn what the free breathing method is and why it matters, how to practice the free breathing method starting today, the science behind this breathing methodology and how it heals insomnia, why this breathing practice is the antidote to stress and anxiety, and so much more. Before that though, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Riverside. Riverside is an online studio platform designed to record, edit and share high quality podcasts that are built for growth from the very first day. Built for human conversations, you can record in 4K video or from your phone, and using AI automatically remove filler words such as as, and many other speech patterns. You can get started with Riverside today by checking out the link in the show note description for a 15%, yes, that's a 15% discount off a paid subscription. Now though, let's dive into my conversation, today's episode of the podcast with Raj. First question for you, I always like to kick it off with this question. Who are you and what do you do?
Okay, well, I'll give you a tiny bit of my backstory. So I'm a practicing yoga guy of 25 to 30 years. I practice classical Vedantic yoga from the old Indian tradition. And I also do all the hatha yoga, which is all the physical postures as well. So I've been doing that 25, 30 years. And also relationship coaching. I do relationship coaching for women. Have been doing that for the last 15 years. Also into health and fitness, wellness articles, writing articles, blogs, human performance, human potential, all about that.
And what's the why behind your work? Like, why do you do what you do?
I think I'm just curious to learn all the things that I didn't learn in school. And there's so much, in life that you get to learn or explore, sometimes the easy way, sometimes the hard way, that you wish you were taught at a young age, and then life wouldn't be so challenging or difficult. I'm not saying life is, not supposed to be challenging. It is, but if you had certain behaviors and habits that were kind of instilled from a young age, you'd have a better framework and appreciate life better, I believe. So the why is about human potential, why we do what we do, where we've come from, where we're going, why are we here, and how do we interact with others to get the best version of ourselves out of ourselves.
No, I definitely agree with you. I think if we were given some of the tools that I'm assuming we've both learned being in this world of self-improvement, but also health and fitness and just exploring spirituality and consciousness, etc. If we were given some of the tools that we've both learned, and obviously we're going to dive into your method today in a bit later, within the education system or within, or as we're growing up, I think it would definitely help us to navigate the challenges of life better, right? But we just don't have those tools oftentimes, and so the challenges of life become even more challenging, I think.
Yes, absolutely. I think when you don't have the right kind of mindset early on in life, you kind of struggle because you don't know what you don't know. And so sometimes, you interact with people, you don't know what questions to ask, you don't know what's on the table, what's off the table. So things can get awkward, because you're not taught that in school. And I think a lot of people nowadays, they should feel they can relax more, because people are looking for more heart-centered leadership, which means genuinely leading from the heart, not the way it was done 20 years ago about just pushing people around. That's never going to do it. Everybody has to feel fulfilled and they should enjoy the process at the same time. So then it's not an exhausting life that you're leading. It should be a recharge. You're in a state of recharge, learning, wisdom every day. That would be the ideal default, I think.
What's the why behind like why your work matters from like a societal landscape? So what I mean by that is, somebody's just clicked on this video, clicked on this podcast, listening, watching YouTube, Spotify, wherever people tune in from, and like, so why should they stay around? What are they going to get from this episode?
Okay, I think first and foremost, knowledge, new paradigm, new way of thinking, because everybody knows they can resonate with what we're saying and say, look, you're not taught even a quarter in the school system that what you should know that's actually practicable in real life. You have kids who are leaving school at 15 and 16 and becoming YouTube millionaires because they're like, well, I enjoy doing this. I've got something to say, and I'm going to build my own audience and continue to learn and evolve and add value to people. So why do I need to go through a convoluted university system in order to get that when I'm already interested in it? So a lot of people are short-circuiting the conventional education curve by learning from the internet, which is a great thing to do if you know what you're doing, if you have a particular goal in mind, and saying, okay, I want to be self-sustaining. How do I monetize it? Do YouTube, do live streams, do TikTok or whichever. And I think, you'll learn a lot about the mindset and also who you are fundamentally and what you should focus on to make your life more fulfilling. So that's why people should tune into what we're saying. That's what I think.
So diving into your work, reading about it and discovering your work online. You alluded to a bit there in terms of a bit of your background, studying different yoga techniques and methodologies, etc. And then, from what I understand, this forming your own method. Talk to us through, about kind of that journey of how you've gone from being like the student of these methodologies to developing your own method, and then like give us like the 101 kind of breakdown of your own method as well.
Okay,
love to learn that journey.
It's a great, topic. It's a huge conversation if you think about the potential and the breadth and the depth of this. So it could go for a few minutes just on this one point alone. And feel free to interject with any questions you have, because otherwise it might be a bit too heavyweight of a subject. But we want to keep it light and digestible so people can enjoy it, learn, understand, and appreciate it. So basically, having studied yoga, hatha yoga, which is the physical posture side of things, keeping your body healthy, keeping your spine straight, keeping your joints flexible, and so on. Also study what is meditation, why should we do it, does it apply to everybody, and what is so great about it? Why are people jumping on it like crazy right now, especially post-pandemic? It was already popular pre-pandemic, but after the pandemic, it's just skyrocketed. For the first time in history, you may or may not know this, Luke, but the wellness industry is now worth $6 trillion a year, whereas Big Pharma is only now worth $2 trillion a year. So what that tells us is that people basically had enough of pharmaceuticals and doctors and diagnostics, which tell you nothing about how to actually fix problems. And they're going more towards yoga, retreats, meditation, breathwork practices, to get to the root cause of their own discomfort and solve it once and for all. So I was already training, in different breathwork methods before the pandemic. And when I'm working with my female clients, what I find is that, as we know, women tend to be more emotional than logic-based in most cases. There are some women who are very logic-based as well. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule. But for the most part, out of the thousands of women that I've coached over the years, most have a very strong emotional base, a very strong emotional perspective. So when they would be dating guys or talking to guys or interacting with guys to develop a relationship, or even in the beginning dating phases, they would feel nervous, they would feel anxious, they would have social anxiety, they would clam up, they would feel stuck, they would let, the man lead the way because he's masculine and he appears strong. But then, these issues of not being able to self-regulate, to calm down your emotions, to see clearly, was presenting again and again and again, like with everybody, literally everyone, especially during the pandemic. So I formulated a method which is very gentle, very soft, and you don't have to be an expert at all. So even if you're not interested to study yoga and the classical Vedantic texts of India, doesn't matter. This works anyhow. If you're a human being and you breathe air and you breathe this amazing life energy which is surrounding us all the time, it will work for you regardless of what you believe or don't believe. So that's what I wanted to help people with, to say, look, I've got a method for you which you can do right now with me, and it will help you to relax, it will help you to remain calm, it will help you to get into your natural flow state, and you will genuinely feel good. You would genuinely feel good. You don't have to force to put a smile on your face. You don't have to put on airs. No, you would genuinely feel in your own natural flow state.
What part, so like formed the method, where did you draw kind of the, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess like parts of the method from, because obviously beforehand you were studying different yoga techniques, etc. So kind of break down the method for us. I believe it's called the free method. So you break it down for us in terms of like the steps, but also like the origins kind of behind it. I'm guessing that's based on your knowledge and wisdom of practicing the other methods for so many years, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I can preface by saying what you see around you is not what you think it is. So I know that sounds like, okay, that's kind of mysterious. Yeah, but everybody knows deep down life is mysterious. There's a whole huge mystery around it. We don't really know much, if we're honest. I had it handed to me when I first went to India that I thought I knew something and actually knew nothing, right? And that was so humbling. And I thought, well, how do I gain real knowledge then? I had to start from zero, like zero. And I was an obnoxious teenager coming from the Western world. I was born in London, go to India thinking I know something. And actually, I realized I don't know anything. My education is basically invalid. Let's put it that way. So apart from reading, writing, and arithmetic and all that stuff. Okay, fair enough. But the atmosphere, let's get to this point. The atmosphere that's all around you, it's not oxygen only. It's not just nitrogen. It's not just those things that you're taught in the school books. It's a lot more than that. It's three things in the Vedantic yogic texts of over 10,000 years of recorded history. And it, of course, existed before then as well. So it's light. The atmosphere all around you is light, electricity, and magnetism. Light, electricity, and magnetism. Now, this is surrounding us 24/7, whether you know it or you don't, whether you believe it or you don't believe it. It's up to you. Yeah. However, whether you believe it or not, you can still use it to your advantage. Okay. So when you take in this amazing infinite life energy, which is surrounding us all the time, into your system, you can recharge your nervous system and your immune system in a way that's quick and easy and even fun. And the effects it can have on your being, your mindset, your level of positivity, the way you rock up and show yourself in the world as a personality is tremendous, especially if you do it for a few weeks, a few months, or even if a few years. You completely transform your life. this energy around us is very intelligent. It knows more than we do in terms of, being a mortal human being. It knows how to heal you. It knows how to fix your mental maladies. It knows how to clear trauma. It knows how to show you wisdom paths towards your own potential and your own goals. So it's forming a relationship, really. Life is always about relationships, but with what and with whom? So this is it. Your relationship to the universe, to Mother Nature. This is one of the next things that people are going to start taking more seriously, because everything else has let them down in the past. And this is where this method distills the best of everything and eliminates the difficulty, all in one very smooth, easy to perform breathing method.
Yeah, and we'll dive into it in a moment. We'd love to kind of experience it for myself. Before we do that, though, can you break down for those who are listening or watching, like the method itself?
Sure. So to do this, all you have to do is breathe in 3 parts through your nostrils, in 3 parts, and then 3 parts out of your mouth with a long exhale on the 3rd out breath. So it's like this: 3 times in through the nose, and then 3 times out of the mouth. And if you hear, there's a long exhalation on the last out breath. So again, it's very gentle. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fascinating. And yeah, obviously I'll be the case study and in just a moment. So yeah, thank you for kind of breaking it down. It does sound very simple or straightforward. What are the so kind of 2 questions before we actually dive into it, and I do become your case study of how I felt before and after.
Yeah.
What are like the top 3 benefits that you like, the feedback that you get from doing this practice? And I'm also curious about the difference between this breathwork practice and like other breathwork methodologies. I kind of see, like, because there's a few right out there. For me, I would love to get your thoughts on this as well. It's about kind of accumulating these tools, like in our tool belts, so to speak, and then using whatever tool like we feel we need at what time we feel we need it, if that makes sense. Rather than saying like, this breathwork or this type of meditation or this type of yoga is superior to another. So we'd love to kind of discuss that, get your insights and thoughts on that before, again, we'd love to experience this for myself. So before I become your case study.
Absolutely. So I think in terms of the benefits, Luke, the ability to reduce stress very quickly is tremendous with this method. So we're looking at around 50 to 60% reduction in stress and anxiety within 30 to 60 seconds. And for some people who are a bit more stressed out, who've been sort of chronically stressed, it might take 2 to 3 minutes. But they all, even the most stressed people, when they do it under our guidance, and we're checking their feedback just by, on a phone call or a video call, or however we do it in person or whichever way, they will get the benefit. It's almost impossible that if you follow our instructions explicitly that you wouldn't get the benefit. So it also reduces the heart rate to a comfortable level. And it also, another very interesting benefit is the mental chatter that we call the monkey mind in Buddhism. Or I just practiced with a Spanish doctor. She calls it mente de monos, monkey mind, right? It silences the monkey mind in a way that you've probably never experienced, like literally like pressing a mute button on that chatter.
Why? Do you have any insights into why? Like maybe like science behind it, or
Yes, because it's a very easy and simple way to release endorphins, dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine and serotonin are feel-good hormones in the brain. And it also activates the vagus nerve, which is a chief part of this parasympathetic nervous system to help you relax, rest, and digest very quickly. So because it does all of this in one smooth sweep, in one smooth motion, that's why it's very, very powerful on these areas.
Interesting. And why, again, kind of why this practice compared to like another breathwork practice? I guess it kind of a bit in kind of your answer there as well. Maybe it's to, this is just kind of me thinking a bit out loud, would love to again get your insights on it. Maybe, you know, if we are in that stressful situation, in a road rage situation or something, or like at work or something, you know, we need that quick relief of kind of stress, we can use maybe something like this, but we still, for people, have our daily meditation practice, you know, and do that as well. Like, what's your thoughts on combining this with other practices and like how it kind of maybe fits into like a more holistic approach?
The beautiful thing about this is that studying human potential, as I've done for decades now, because I'm obsessed with it. Like I have to understand, how does it work? Why are there such differences between people? I'll give you an interesting insight before we will move into your answer your question explicitly. People love superhero films. Why? People love Harry Potter. People love all these epic films. There's a reason for it. Because everybody subconsciously deeply desires to align themselves with a hero. Right? Deep down, they all want superpowers. They all want strength. They all want to do something amazing in the world. Everybody feels that deep down. That's why superhero films are so highly attended, because there's something beyond the ordinary matter-of-fact life that everybody has a soul. If you believe in the soul, they know there is something more to life than just a humdrum materialistic existence, right? And those who dare to explore, you know, they have to start dealing with things that are intangible, and invisible forces are unknown, and it can be very scary, you know, for some people who don't have a guide or a guru or a master, or, you know, things like that. So I think this is an important perspective to grab a hold of. So this method is simple and it's elegant, and it can be integrated with any existing meditation method. So whether you do just purely hatha yoga for the body, or you do other more advanced meditation techniques, this one can fit seamlessly and elegantly with anything. It's been tried on children as young as 5, with people all the way up to 85, with excellent results. And to also add a bit more sort of fine tuning to that, the good thing about this is that it's simple and it's one thing. You don't have to overcomplicate your life and then do nothing, because when you have the paralysis of analysis, and then you go to too many things, and then you stop doing anything because it's too difficult or it's too hard to remember. Instead of doing a breath practice where you inhale for 10 and then hold for 16 and exhale for 8 and then hold for 20, people in reality, they tend not to do these things because it's too complicated to remember. So this method, this method, so we can say, because in the Western world we have a tendency to overcomplicate things and to overthink things, and then at the end of the day you're still no closer to a solution. You're just talking endlessly for the sake of talking, but you don't have a solution. So the thing about this is that it gives you a solution that's tangible, that you can feel, that you can rinse and repeat anytime you want. And it can be done by children, mums, pregnant women, adults, whether you have ADHD, ADD. We coached someone with PTSD in America a couple of days ago, and he realized, oh, this is what meditation really is. I never knew what meditation was. It took me 45 minutes to get to this state, which you got me in 60 seconds. You see, so when you look at the time compression of doing this kind of method compared to other methods, you'll see for yourself how it can help transform your mindset, your energy, and bring your flow state on command, literally.
Well, I will now try it for myself. So I'm more than happy to give this a go and be case study. You lead the way, my friend.
Okay, sure. So what we'll do it for a minute to start with,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then we'll just ask you a few of our standard questions just to see how you're feeling and seeing how you're responding to it. And then we'll go on. If all is well, we'll go on for another minute or two. And I'd like to start by saying this is a very gentle, soft, easy method. There's nothing to force. There's nothing to race against. You don't have to try to compete with anyone. There's not a number you have to try to reach. Nothing like that. And you also don't have to worry about breathing into your belly. You don't have to worry about your diaphragm, and you don't have to worry if you're a clavicular breather, meaning you somehow breathe at the top of your shoulders. You don't have to worry about any of that. All you have to do is just follow the motion, follow the action, and you will get the result. It's as simple as that. So what we first do is, Luke, if you could check your nostril flow for me. So you do that by blocking the right nostril first, and then you breathe out once through the left, like that. Yeah, and then you block the left nostril and breathe out once through the right, like that. And get a sense of, are they 50-50 balance ratio, or is one more open than the other? If you can let me know. Mine are 50-50 right now.
I think 50-50, yeah.
Yeah, you think so? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, every 20 to 30, sometimes 40 minutes, I don't know if you're aware of this, Luke, but it switches in human beings from one nostril to the other.
So it's fascinating you said that. So I don't know, like a few years ago, I just suddenly became kind of aware, conscious that I was breathing kind of more out of one nostril than the other. And I was like, in that moment, like, oh shit, what's going on? And kind of was kind of like panicked for just a moment. But then, kind of done a bit of research into it. So it's good to know that.
Yeah, it changes. Yeah, for all human beings, unless they consciously bring it back to balance themselves, it's always alternating from left to right all day long. Left
Do you
to
have any
right.
insights into why?
Yes, I do, but that's a huge. I mean, I can give you like a snapshot of why.
Sure.
Have you ever seen a sleeping Buddha?
No.
Lying on his side in Thailand, like in the big gold statues? No. Okay. Well, it's to do with the operation of the left and right hemispheres of the brain. Every human being has both masculine and feminine, or feeling and reason. All of us do. Now, if you're too lopsided, it means if you're too emotional, you won't get on with your partner who's perhaps more logical, because you're not blending the both of those energies within yourself. So you may be at odds with your partner. Yeah, it happens all the time. That's why one of the reasons why the 50% divorce rate in the UK and America is people are mismatching. They're not quite getting on the same wavelength. So basically the nostrils is just a switch between masculine and feminine energy throughout the day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So when you
it
is. When you fine tune it, then you begin to realize how more balanced and how composed and how focused you can be. And you don't have trouble with anyone because you're in flow within yourself.
And is that what we just done there with our nostrils? Is that the way to balance it? Just like that simple?
Well, we would do it for about a minute.
Okay.
So 30 seconds on the left side, 30 seconds on the right side. But I just wanted to check, are you left brain dominant right now or right brain dominant right now, just to get a sense of your physiology. So you're fine, you're balanced. That's the play. All right. So I also want to ask you, Luke, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel right now? 1 being not so great and 10 being amazing.
We'll get back talking to Raj in just one moment, but before we do so, I would just like to take a quick break to mention Soma Breath. Soma Breath is a holistic school and community with no single guru, where you get to learn the power of pranayama breathing techniques and discover the power of breath work tailored to your specific needs. The thing that I love about Soma Breath is that it combines ancient wisdom with modern science to help promote overall wellness, reduce stress and anxiety, and achieve holistic health. From their online courses to membership, live classes, and certification programs, at Soma Breath, you have everything that you need to discover and learn the power of breathwork for yourself, tailored to your specific needs, with a community right by your side. Get started on your Soma Breath journey today by visiting the link in the show note description and experiencing the transformation for yourself. Now, though, back to today's episode. Right now, 7.
Have you had, or do you have any kind of OCD, ADHD, or anything of that nature?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Have you had any sort of history of bipolarism or anyone in your family?
Not bipolar. I used to face like chronic anxiety and like panic attacks and depression and stuff. Before I kind of discovered all of this breathwork, meditation, exercise, all this kind of wellness stuff, and kind of what I call is just getting back to being human. But kind of pre that, I was very anxious and stuff, and I feel like I still have anxious tendencies at times, but obviously I manage that through different breathwork,
Perfect,
meditation, and lifestyle changes.
That is definitely a huge part of how people overcome these issues when they become debilitating and difficult to handle. So it's good that you're familiar, because people that we train who are who have chronic hyperventilation issues or panic attack, we have to stage them through it bit by bit, because they're just not used to working with their breath in any measured, conscious way. It's all fear-based, and they get triggered by things, and then they get into a hyper state, and they get in a it gets complicated. So we have to stay
definitely. So I would say definitely familiar with breathwork, meditation, yoga, practice regularly. Probably not at the level of yourself or an expert of some, but I'm familiar with kind of breathwork and stuff and practice daily. So
good. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to set the timer for a minute. Okay, and before we do that, Luke, for this one, this practice, keep your eyes closed. So nice and gentle, nice and soft. Keep the spine fairly straight. Don't need to be overly perfect or anything. Just keep the spine relatively straight. And you're just going to breathe a few times gently through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Just relax. And then if you can breathe after I do this, just so I make sure you get it right. 3 times in through the nose like this, and then 3 times out of the mouth like this. No. The out breath, very important. It's a ha sound from the back of the throat.
Okay.
Yeah, you can try it once more. But a bit more focused on the 1, 2, 3. So it's a clear 1, 2, 3 like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then the out breath. No, it's got to be 3 parts, distinct parts. So I'll do it again.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, it's just the out breath. I'm just getting familiar with.
Correct. It's different than most people. So, that what most people have tried before. So it's okay. We'll just go through it a little bit. So it's like this. And then. It's like saying ha, 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 like you're laughing, but without the vocals. So you open your mouth a little bit wider, and it's That's it. And you don't have to feel like you have to exhale out everything. You don't have to feel like you're trying to force anything at all. Okay? All right. So, how do you feel now? You okay?
Yeah. So I thought I felt calm before, much calmer and more, how do I describe it? Spatially kind of
Aware.
aware.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that only took literally seconds.
And I didn't do it right a few times. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So you're going to do this. We'll do this for a minute together. I'll do it with you. Okay. I'll do a countdown.
Hopefully I get it right.
Oh yeah, it's okay. Just if you're not sure, just listen to me while I'm doing it and just copy that as best as you can. Okay? So again, open the mouth a bit more and let the ha sound come from the throat, and you'll get a bit more out of it. A bit slower, a bit slower. That's good. That's good. All right. So we'll start a minute on the clock. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay. Do carry on a few more times.
Been good. But I stopped. I paused because I was going a bit lightheaded.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's normal. That's normal. Okay. Just
Because I'm like sat up and I'm like obviously on the podcast. I didn't want to because usually I would do like breath like lying down or something.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
then I would keep going. But
Yeah.
but yeah,
Okay.
definitely more spaciously aware. Thought I was calm beforehand, but yeah, and so I was feeling something like how do I describe it? I guess like heat or fire, in like in like belly area, stomach
Okay.
area.
What I'd like you to do, Luke, just for a moment, keep your eyes closed and just do this 4 more times, and this will really help to dial in the energy. So, like this. Relax there, stop there. Keep your eyes closed. Just going to ask you a few easy questions. Okay. First thing, do you feel any cool sensations around your body, around your nose, your sinuses, your temples, top of your head, back of your head, anywhere else around your body?
Not noticeably cool or anything, but I wouldn't. But I would say relaxed. But yeah.
Okay, good. And have you noticed your heart rate slow down a bit?
Yes.
Yeah. And the mental chatter that we all have in this busy helter-skelter world, like mental chatter on and on and on, has that slowed down a bit?
Yes, and I needed that based on the day I had.
So now I think you can even see from this very beginning part that people who are in corporate, very highly stressed situations, they they don't know how to switch off that mental chatter. It just plagues them a lot of the day, and even when they go to bed at night, it's going on and on and on. So they don't know how to switch it off, and it causes a lot of stress in a lot of cases. So you found out how you were able to kind of put that monkey mind, that chatter, in the background, like put it on mute for a little bit. Yeah.
Mm.
So now your state of focus is heightened and your flow is now in an effortless state. You're in a genuinely meditative state right now.
Yeah, no monkey mind.
Yeah. And you didn't even do it for a full 60 seconds. It was like 40 seconds.
Yeah.
So if I can also ask you, do you feel a mental expansion beyond the confines of the body, like a growing awareness beyond the kind of flesh and bone? Do you feel that?
I think so. So like what I kind of sense is my mind, and I guess kind of that head, kind of that area, like outwards, is just kind of still like spacious as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the best words I can.
Spacious.
Yeah.
Does it feel pleasant or unpleasant?
Yeah, pleasant.
Yeah. From your other practices, just a quick comparison, how does it compare with your other types of modalities that you do?
So I can reach this state in other methods, not as quickly.
Mm. How long would it take roughly?
10 minutes, 20 minutes. I mean, I've done way longer kind of breathwork sessions before that. So yeah, so I'd say the biggest thing is not as quickly.
Not as quickly, yeah. So you can see for practical application where people don't have 20 minutes, half an hour to meditate, this gets you straight very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
On a scale of one, yeah,
sorry, go on.
Yeah, just a couple of questions and then we can, as you wish. On a scale of 1 to 10, you said you felt a 7 earlier. What do you feel now?
So as soon as I came out of it, obviously because it's been a few minutes now, I would say a 9.
9.
Yeah.
Right. So you went from a 7 to a 9 within the space of about a minute or a couple of minutes. And on a scale of 1 to 10, last question, how surprised are you at how quickly this worked? 1 being not at all surprised and 10 being very surprised.
An 8. Just because I've read into your work and case studies and kind of testimonials and like for me, I'm always open to possibilities, and like different practices and stuff. So, but yeah, it is obviously a bit surprising, especially how quickly we were able to get there.
Yeah. There you go.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. A few other final questions that I have, kind of switch back. You mentioned kind of beforehand with people in corporate, struggling kind of sleep and stuff. So and reading through the method helping insomnia. So can you talk us through like how this method heals insomnia, if there's any kind of science to kind of back that up currently that you're aware of or kind of have done, because I think like we've covered sleep a few times on the podcast. A lot of people struggle with sleep, and sleep is obviously a very important part of our overall health and well-being. So for a lot of people who do struggle with insomnia, if they have this tool available to them, that's obviously going to be of great benefit.
Absolutely. And just to preface, in the world at the moment, 770 million people who are suffering from sleeping disorders and insomnia, and that's a conservative estimate. It could be way more than that, actually. That's almost just say approximately a tenth of the world's population are suffering with some kind of sleeping disorder or insomnia. The biggest afflicted countries are Japan and Korea, with about 35 to 40% each country suffering with insomnia. It's a really problematic concern. A lot of people in Japan, they live isolated, alone. A lot of them are very lonely. I think it's 35% or thereabouts loneliness rate. And the interesting thing is, when people do this technique, they not only feel ultra calm and focused and in flow, they also report feeling like they're being wrapped. I know it sounds like a strange analogy, but being wrapped like by a warm blanket. Because remember, you're pulling in the environment, the atmosphere, the power in the universe, basically, into your own body to activate your own dopamine, serotonin, and endorphin hormones in your brain. As mentioned, and also activating the vagus nerve. So when people tell us they have sleeping disorders, and we say, okay, you have sleeping disorders, they've taken sleeping pills for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, a lot of time. We'll say, we talk them through the method, and within 30 to 60 seconds, they fall asleep for 6 hours. And they don't wake up until magically enough, they wake up at a decent time, they feel refreshed, they'll say, I haven't slept like that since I was a kid. And we say, well, do you think you have insomnia? Well, not if I do this. Exactly. So you can do it lying in bed. You can do it when you're in bed before you go to bed and you'll sleep deeply. If you happen to wake up in the middle of the night, you can do it for 30 seconds and fall asleep again. No problem. So it helps you to sleep properly during the night when you should sleep and not be scrolling on your phone on TikTok or whatever, when you happen to wake up and you take another 2 hours to fall asleep. Then when you wake up again, you're not feeling fully energized. Insomnia is a 50 billion per year, $50 billion a year problem in America alone. And it leads to accidents if you don't sleep properly, if you don't get your nourishing, deep, 6 to 8 hours sleep. You can have accidents, you lose focus, you're groggy, you're cranky, your emotions don't flow right, your day doesn't go so well. So this method helps to, even when you're lying in bed, to help you sleep quickly and easily.
Do you know of the mechanism behind it? Why?
Yes, this is where it gets fascinating in terms of the research. You've heard about a lot of people talking about the brain, a second brain in your belly, right? You've heard of this, the gut connection, microbiome and those kind of things. So the reason why it's so fascinating to at least have some awareness about this is because the vagus nerve is a parasympathetic part of your system, which exists behind your throat, behind your face, and also in your gut. So when you do this method, you not only activate the vagus nerve, which helps you rest and digest as a part of the parasympathetic nervous system, it gets you out of the bounds of the body, the senses, and the worries with the world. That is all based around sympathetic activity, go, 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 freeze, fight, flight, constantly in the body, in the senses, in the world, not being able to switch off those distractions. But when you get into the parasympathetic nervous system, you rest, you digest, you relax, you absorb, you can analyze and assimilate all the experiences of your day. And it's a lot easier and it's a lot more pleasant to do that. Everybody should spend time in parasympathetic during the day as well as just at night when you sleep. So it activates the vagus nerve. It also releases the endorphins in the brain, serotonin, and dopamine. So all of those things in one gentle motion creates an optimum environment for you to feel well and get into flow.
Interesting. What's one thing that we haven't spoken about in terms of your work, the method, even related topics that you think is very important for our listeners and watchers to understand based on our conversation so far?
Okay, this is where we can get a little bit out of the box. if for those who are interested to learn, like, who am I? What is a human being? Where am I going? You know, if you want to know the bit more of the fundamentals, I'm a metaphysician at heart, right? I study metaphysics. I've studied comparative religion. I've studied nutrition, exercise, anatomy, all the bodily systems of the brain, and look at applications of how to optimize yourself, like a Joe Dispenza, like a Paramahansa Yogananda, who's the great guru behind Steve Jobs' phenomenal success. And I think the two main things you need to realize that every human being should try to understand is that we are just two things. In the universe, there are only two things that exist. One is consciousness, and the other thing is energy. Everything is an interplay of those forces. So you can see you've got a big sandbox with energy, and if you can learn how to use energy, you can shape your world and your circumstances and your dream life, your ideals, your goals, to your potential. You can gear it in a way that you want.
And in terms of consciousness?
Consciousness is the background for everything. Without consciousness, there'll be nothing. So it's the very background. For example, I had a very interesting conversation with someone who studied astronomy for years. We have fun conversations because they love, as kids, we all love space. We all love to think, oh, what's on different planets? What's going on there? But they're legit questions, because if, for example, the planet Mars disappeared, it would be strange. What would happen to humans on Earth if Mars disappeared?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah. Well, if the sun disappeared, you definitely know what will happen. There'll be no Earth, right? But if Jupiter disappeared or Saturn disappeared, what would happen to planet Earth? You just have a strange, eerie feeling. Hang on, that better not happen, because something is going to get thrown off big time here. But what? These are the kind of questions that astronomers and astrologers and people into quantum physics and metaphysics would like to kind of ask and try to answer. So behind the canvas of space, if you put a knife and you cut the black curtain of the cosmos, you'll see light is behind it. And that's the very basis of consciousness. It's light. Everything else is an interplay of forces on top of that.
So on the topic of energy and consciousness, right? So I try and make, through, I guess, the podcast conversations I have, like these understandings and kind of phenomenons. What's what I'm looking for? Simple, if possible, for like your average person walking down the street, so they can understand it. So maybe like that would pique their curiosity to dive into it, and then they can really unleash their life force, right? Because if I went to, a group of friends that I used to hang around with 5 years ago and started talking about consciousness and energy, they'd think I'm wacky, and they wouldn't understand these concepts. So I'm kind of always, or have remained curious of why, unless you're like consciously in itself, like on the path of asking these questions, like you have no idea of energy or consciousness, etc. And so why do you think that is, and how can we maybe start to buck that trend, if that's possible, or is it like a personal journey that we all are to go through if we want to like live our best life possible and unleash our life force energy, if that makes sense?
That's a great question. That's a brilliant question. I can allude to an example that helps to bring this all together. So, for example, in the Western world, the reason why there's a lot of subjects that cannot be discussed is because the vocabulary doesn't exist for it. So, for example, when I first looked up, I have lots of, friends and clients who are from all religious backgrounds, Catholics, Christians, Protestants, Jews, Buddhists, Hindus, and all the rest of it. And when I first looked up the etymology of the word Catholic, I found out that it's not just about Mother Mary or just about some countries who are very, fervidly praying to Mother Mary in Spain or Italy, because they're very strong Catholic roots there. But Catholicism, it comes from the Greek word kathos, which means universal. So I'm thinking to myself, hang on, if kathos means universal, that includes me as well then. But I'm a Hindu. But no, you're a universal being, right? You walk under the same sun and moon as everyone else. You breathe the same life force. If I'm in with Luke in his room right now, we're breathing the same life energy, which is all around us. So what difference does it make, right? So we study etymology, you know, and to answer your question about, is it a personal journey? Yes, it is, but it's also a universal journey. What we do is we learn methods and techniques to hasten that journey so we can learn and accelerate our evolution by volition, by our own free choice. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be curious, but I think we're all curious. You know, as we're moving into the next millennia, people are like, well, where is all this going? Why do these things happen? Like, what is the big plan here? Why has the internet come up? Why is, you know, all these wellness practices and breathwork taking such a huge, you know, interest of people nowadays? What is going on? What is this? So then you begin to realize that there is a thrust towards evolution, and it's not, we can have a part in it, but it's happening regardless of whether we like it or not. So if you want to stay pre-pandemic and say, no, I don't want to go online, no, I don't want to use Zoom, no, I don't want to come, then you're going to be kind of stuck and left behind where everyone else is moving in sync with the times, right? But you can say to yourself, if I get into breath work and I recharge my own brain and my own nervous system and my own immune system, I can get on that ladder myself by my own choice and have the insights come through my own mind because I'm taking in all this glorious life energy into my own being and gather the insights for myself. You can do that.
Ranj, thank you so much for your time today. I've learned a lot, experienced, a lot as well. As I said, definitely a lot calmer kind of after that breathwork little session we did. One final question that I have is, so we started on 1 minute. Do people start on 1 minute and then build up to 3 minutes, or is the practice based rooted in kind of it being that short, like at 1 minute? Talk to us about that before we bring this one home.
Sure. So that's a great point. Again, we always like to check in with people with the first minute to see how they respond physiologically, because everyone's slightly different. But from your response, you showed a perfect response in terms of you went from a 7 to a 9 within about 40 seconds or thereabouts. You hadn't done the practice perfectly, but you still got a huge amount out of it and you realize what it can do. So we talk people through it for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And if they're good with it, they carry on for 3 minutes, 3 times a day. So morning before you eat breakfast, after lunch, and then before you go to bed. And then if you really want to dial it in deeper, we do is 3 minutes to peace, 5 minutes to joy, and 7 minutes to bliss. So if you do a full 7 minutes at one stretch, you'll see that your perception and your life will completely take on a radically enlarged and deeper, significant meaning, like in the Matrix films. You have bullet time. You slow everything down, and you're enjoying yourself in flow state immensely every moment of the day.
Is it like, so I just kind of want to gauge this, to go to 7 minutes, it like, because I think when we done it, you before we started, you were like, it's not a rush, etc., etc. So for people who are listening and watching to this, maybe like something just went off in their mind of like, oh, I want to get to 7 minutes like super quickly because I want to experience that. What would your words of wisdom, insights there? Is it like that gradual process that that leads to the profound experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd say when you first start, do it 1 minute at a time, do 1 minute and then do 2 minutes. And when you're feeling comfortable and you've kind of realized, okay, everything is changing in my mind. Okay, this is different. Okay, I want to take it to 3 minutes, do 3 minutes. and then compound the effect with 4, 5, 6. You can use a timer. You can use your phone, whichever you prefer. Just make sure you're comfortable and that you're adapting to it. The human body adapts fabulously quickly to this method. So, within a day or two, once you've understood what's happening to yourself, you can go for 7 minutes, but just take it calm, take it gently, take it easily, and realize that you're going to be in a very altered state of mind, of being. So just transition gently into that. It doesn't take long, a day or two, and you can be there. Some of our clients do 7 minutes 3 to 4 times a day.
Raj, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure. Where do people go if they want to learn more about this, learn more about you, and keep in touch?
Best way is to go to keepfitkingdom.com. And then you can click on the tab which says 3-3 method, 3-3 breathing method or products, and you can find out more about it. You can purchase the tutorial there, and you can ask us any questions. There's WhatsApp and emails all linked on the web page, so you can go and ask us any questions as well.
Excellent. Well, Raj, once again, thank you so much for your time today. I've had a blast.
You're welcome, Luke. It's been a real pleasure, and look forward to connect again soon.
I hope that you've enjoyed my conversation today with Raj, where we have been exploring and discussing everything breathwork, meditation, and even touched upon the phenomenons of energy and consciousness, which is all interlinked. I would love to know, what are you taking away from this episode, and what positive changes are you going to make in your life as a result? Maybe it's practicing the 3-3 breathing method. Please do leave a comment or review below this episode, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts from. I read every single comment and review and appreciate you being here and tuning into the show today. I look forward to sharing the next episode of the podcast with you really, really soon. So I will see you